During the latest episode of Antiques Roadshow, the family of the famous mountaineer Theodore Howard Somervell were left stunned when expert Fuchsia Voremberg valued his expedition tools at £70,000. He took part in the 1922 and 1924 expeditions up Mount Everest and left a legacy behind for his family, including his grandson and great-grandson. Sitting with the family and next to the extensive amount of items they had brought to the roadshow, Fuchsia was immediately blown away. "So I took the train up to Birmingham this morning, and I was completely surrounded by hikers on their way to the Peak District. They never had any kit that looked like this. Though, can you tell me a little bit about these incredible objects that you have brought along?" Somervell's grandson explained, "Well, they all belong to my grandfather, I'm the grandson, and these two boys are great-grandsons." Fuchsia continued, "And your grandfather is Theodore Howard Somervell. It is so unreal and a really famous name in the history of mountaineering." He was on the 1922 and the 1924 British Everest expedition? The guest agreed, "Correct, and this photograph was taken at 27,000 feet in 1924 at the time. It was the highest photograph ever taken by mankind." As she began to take a closer look at the items, Fuchsia exclaimed, "I mean, it is hard to know where to begin. He had so many eyes in the fire, and we could do a whole program on him." Climbing in the 1920s was pretty different to the sort of climbing that people do today. These climbing irons are made of forged steel, so I picked them up earlier, and they have got a bit of weight to it, and I am not sure if I can climb up the stairs wearing those, let alone a mountain. And these goggles, they would have been a completely necessary piece of kit to stop you getting snow blinded when you are surrounded by whiteness and the cold of the air. You know quickly that is going to have a pretty detrimental effect on your eyes, but the Everest expeditions are famous not just because they were the first attempts, but also they were pretty hard hit by tragedy on the 1922 expedition. I know that 7 hikers very sadly lost their lives in an avalanche. And then on the 1924 expedition, Mallory and Irving disappeared near the summit, and it is still unknown if they reached the top of the mountain before they died or not, she revealed. The 1924 expedition team were also awarded an Olympic gold medal at the first Winter Olympic Games in Chamonix. Somervell's family also brought along some of the paintings he did over his years, with Fuchsia adding, "He was a really good artist. I think they are incredibly beautiful, and he had a real eye for composition. So what do you think of all this? This is quite a serious great-grandfather to have." One of his great-grandsons replied, "He was an incredible man and fantastic painter, a lot to live up to. We did some climbing when we were younger. I would love to go up Everest myself. Incredible man. Unfortunately, I never got to meet him." Fuchsia then got down to the business of evaluating everything the family had brought along and said, "There is a lot of stuff here, and giving a collection like this a valuation is pretty complicated. But I can have a guess, so when you take into account the paintings, the climbing aids, the sketchbooks, it would be something in the region of £70,000.